really thought of herself as a drummer.
Is that right?
Which is amazing to me. Didn't she know how well she sang?
She did, but I'd heard stories through the years that Bing Crosby always thought of himself as a golfer who sang. Karen, for as much as she loved to sing, and it was inborn, obviously.
Behind the dazzling stage lights and angelic voice of Karen Carpenter lay a tragic story few truly understood. Her life wasn't merely one of extraordinary musical success, but also a heartbreaking tale of loneliness and invisible pressures that gradually destroyed her from within. For decades, whispers of strained family dynamics, excessive control, and hidden pain have surrounded the Carpenters' legacy. Richard Carpenter, her brother and lifelong musical partner, has finally spoken openly about what actually transpired behind closed doors, acknowledging the complex realities that both brought out Karen's vocal brilliance and contributed to her struggles. Karen Carpenter entered the world on March 2, 1950, in New Haven, Connecticut, born to Agnes Ruhr and Harold Bertram Carpenter. Her brother Richard had arrived 4 years earlier on October 15, 1946. Their parents' relationship was notably cold, with this emotional distance extending to their children as well. Agnes displayed an unmistakable preference for Richard, leaving Karen feeling perpetually overshadowed within the family dynamic. While their mother remained emotionally distant, their father nurtured a profound appreciation for music. His extensive record collection spanning rock, pop, soul, jazz, and classical genres became a fundamental influence on both siblings. He actively encouraged their musical education from an early age. Richard demonstrated exceptional talent immediately, beginning with accordion before mastering piano with remarkable ease. Karen, meanwhile, initially showed little interest in performance, preferring simply to listen and absorb the music surrounding her. It wasn't until her teenage years that she gradually discovered her own musical voice and instrumental curiosity. Despite occasional childhood squabbles, the siblings maintained a close bond. Karen was naturally athletic and energetic, frequently joining neighborhood baseball games where she was often selected for teams before Richard, something that occasionally wounded his pride. Agnes's favoritism grew increasingly apparent. She reliably defended Richard whenever he felt upset while consistently criticizing Karen, treating nearly every situation as though it were Karen's fault. By Richard's 16th birthday, his piano abilities had reached professional caliber. Believing their son could build a successful music career, the family relocated to Southern California in 1963, where the music industry was flourishing. Though Karen deeply regretted leaving her friends behind, the family's hopes and dreams centered entirely on Richard's potential. In their new California home, Richard began performing professionally in local venues, occasionally concealing his true age to secure gigs. Meanwhile, Karen, hoping to avoid physical education classes, joined her school band, an accidental choice that sparked her passion for drumming. By 1965, Richard formed the Richard Carpenter Trio, featuring Karen on drums and their schoolmate Wes Jacobs on bass. Despite frequent heated arguments where Richard refused to include Karen's name in the group's title, the trio quickly gained local recognition through captivating performances of popular covers and Richard's original compositions. Their first significant breakthrough arrived in 1966, when they won a major California music competition, securing a contract with RCA Records. Unfortunately, their timing proved challenging. Their gentle jazz-influenced sound struggled against the explosive rock revolution sweeping across America. RCA soon terminated their contract, leading to the trio's dissolution. Undeterred, Richard formed a new group called Spectrum, focused on vocal harmonies, though this project too eventually dissolved into obscurity. During this transitional period, Richard made a crucial discovery. Karen possessed not just impressive drumming skills, but an extraordinarily pure, enchanting singing voice. Recognizing this as their potential path to success, Richard convinced Karen to step into the role of lead vocalist. At 17, Karen weighed approximately 143 pounds, slightly above contemporary beauty standards. After losing around 11 pounds through dieting, she received numerous compliments that inadvertently triggered what would become a dangerous fixation with weight control. In early 1969, their perseverance finally paid off when a friend submitted their demo tape to a record label. Herb Alpert, the renowned trumpeter and co-founder of A&M Records, was immediately captivated by Karen's distinctive voice and offered them a recording contract. Since Karen hadn't yet reached 21, her parents signed on her behalf. The Carpenters officially debuted on October 9, 1969, with their first album offering, which featured Richard handling most lead vocals. Despite the duo's obvious talent, the album failed to make significant commercial impact, causing A&M executives to question their investment. Facing pressure to drop the act, Herb Alpert remained steadfast in his support, a decision that would ultimately launch one of music history's most beloved duos. Alpert's faith in the siblings extended beyond just business support. He introduced them to the song that would transform their trajectory, Close to You. Though previously recorded by established artists like Richard Chamberlain, D.N.A. Warwick, Dusty Springfield, and even Alpert himself, the song had never achieved notable success. Alpert believed Karen and Richard could bring something special to the composition, and his intuition proved remarkably accurate. Though initially hesitant, the siblings recorded the song, and on May 14, 1970, Close to You was released, becoming an immediate sensation. Within just 6 months, it sold 3 million copies and reached #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart, marking their first major hit. Success continued flowing later that year. Richard composed We've Only Just Begun after hearing a brief melody in a wedding commercial. Released on August 21, 1970, the song quickly climbed to #2 on the Billboard Hot 100, selling another 1 million copies and earning them 2 prestigious Grammy Awards in 1971. In just 12 months, the Carpenters had transformed from obscure musicians into international stars with rapidly growing fame and fortune. Both hits appeared on their second album, Close to You, released in late August 1970, which cemented their A-list status. The momentum continued with For All We Know, reaching #3 in January 1971, followed by Rainy Days and Mondays and the emotional ballad Superstar, both peaking at #2, thoroughly securing their place in fans' hearts. Despite being the soulful center of the group with her mesmerizing vocals, Karen initially remained behind her drums during performances while Richard and other musicians occupied the stage front. This arrangement drew criticism, and by early 1971, Richard finally agreed to let Karen step into the spotlight where she naturally belonged. From that moment, Karen became the irreplaceable star, her brilliance gradually eclipsing Richard's contributions. Their career reached another milestone on June 19, 1972, with Goodbye to Love, featuring Richard's innovative fuzz guitar solo, a bold technique rarely used in their genre. This groundbreaking approach earned the song recognition as the first power ballad, influencing countless future artists. The song appeared on their fourth album, A Song for You, which continued producing major hits, including Top of the World, returning them to Billboard's #1 position. Their fame extended into political circles when, on August 1, 1972, the Carpenters performed at the White House at President Richard Nixon's invitation, a crowning achievement in their professional journey. On stage, they embodied America's wholesome ideals, but behind the dazzling lights, their personal lives were unraveling in ways their love songs never revealed. To manage his chronic insomnia, Richard began using methaqualone, a sedative legally available in America at that time. Addiction gripped him faster than anticipated, dragging him into a destructive spiral. Meanwhile, Karen became increasingly obsessed with her weight after reading an article criticizing her appearance and highlighting perceived physical flaws. Those words profoundly wounded Karen's self-image, launching her into dangerous weight control behaviors. Despite his addiction struggles, Richard remained dedicated to their music, believing that focusing on Karen's extraordinary talent could overcome their personal challenges. Their album, Now and Then, released May 1, 1973, further strengthened their position on the charts. But as their career flourished, Karen's health deteriorated alarmingly. By 1974, her weight had dropped precipitously to just 99 pounds. She secretly concealed food, abused laxatives, and grew increasingly consumed by her disorder. Once vibrant and energetic, Karen became disturbingly thin and fragile. While encouraging her brother to seek addiction treatment, she denied her own problems, insisting her weight loss stemmed merely from stress. The truth was far more serious. Karen suffered from anorexia nervosa, a dangerous eating disorder poorly understood at that time. To hide her emaciated frame, she layered clothing during public appearances, presenting a radiant facade while her health crumbled privately. Despite her worsening condition, the Carpenters continued performing and recording. Their sixth album, Horizon, released June 6, 1975, arrived amid growing rumors about Karen's health. Many speculated she was secretly battling cancer, unaware of her actual struggle. In her desperate pursuit of thinness, Karen began using ipecac syrup to induce vomiting, further damaging her already vulnerable system. By 1975, the Carpenters' commercial appeal began waning. Their seventh album, A Kind of Hush, released June 11, 1976, fell short of expectations. Nevertheless, they had already secured their musical legacy with over 150 million records sold worldwide. Karen's voice, sweet, haunting, and profoundly moving, remains celebrated as one of the greatest female voices in recording history. Despite her professional achievements, Karen's personal life remained unfulfilled. Though she dated several prominent figures, genuine love eluded her until the early 1980s, when she met Thomas James Burris, a real estate developer 9 years her senior. They connected at an upscale restaurant where Burris charmed Karen with his confident demeanor. Beneath his polished exterior, however, lay uncomfortable truths. Burris faced substantial debt and sought financial salvation. Emotionally vulnerable, Karen fell quickly into the relationship. After a brief courtship, Burris proposed, and they planned their wedding for August 31, 1980, at the Beverly Hills Hotel's Crystal Room. At 30, Karen believed she'd finally found the loving family she'd always yearned for. Just days before the ceremony, however, her dreams shattered when Burris revealed he'd undergone a vasectomy and couldn't father children. Devastated, Karen wanted to cancel the wedding, but her mother refused, arguing it was too late with invitations sent and arrangements finalized. Desperate for maternal approval, Karen proceeded with the marriage, a decision with devastating consequences. After the wedding, Burris revealed his true character, squandering Karen's money on extravagant luxuries while subjecting her to emotional and physical abuse. Within a year, unable to endure further mistreatment, Karen filed for divorce, though the emotional damage ran deep. Despite her declining health, Karen intensified her weight control methods, taking up to 90 laxative pills nightly and abusing thyroid medication to accelerate her metabolism. The harder she tried controlling her body, the more her health spiraled beyond recovery. By 1981, Karen's condition could no longer be concealed. Acknowledging her need for help, she defied family objections and traveled to New York to consult Stephen Levenkron, a specialist in eating disorders. Briefly, improvement seemed possible, but fate had already set its course. Karen's final months represented a heartbreaking struggle between fragile hope and harsh reality. After years battling anorexia, she sought treatment from Levenkron, who arranged family therapy sessions with Richard and Agnes. During these meetings, he emphasized that Karen needed not just medical intervention, but genuine love and family support. Richard, deeply concerned for his sister, attempted to express his feelings. What wounded Karen most deeply, however, was her mother's emotional coldness, the very person whose love and recognition she had always desperately sought. By September 1982, with Karen's health critically compromised, she was hospitalized at Lenox Hill in New York. Doctors initiated intravenous nutrition therapy to help her regain weight quickly, but this life-saving measure came with devastating complications. After years of nutritional deprivation, Karen's body couldn't withstand the strain of rapid weight gain. Her weakened heart became increasingly unstable. Despite physical and emotional suffering, Karen continued pursuing her career. On December 17, 1982, she gave her final performance at Buckley School in Sherman Oaks, California. Nobody present realized they were witnessing the last moments of one of music's greatest voices. The final tragedy arrived on February 4, 1983, when Agnes found Karen collapsed unconscious on her bedroom floor. Despite emergency medical intervention, her heart had stopped beating. She was only 32 years old. 6 years later, CBS produced a biographical film about Karen's life, though it revealed only partial truths. Richard and Agnes insisted on removing details highlighting Karen's yearning for maternal love and the family's internal conflicts, preferring to preserve her radiant public image rather than expose the painful reality behind her stardom. Though initially reluctant to confront his grief, Richard eventually became the guardian of his sister's legacy. For years, he devoted himself to restoring and remastering the Carpenter's recordings, allowing new generations to experience their musical brilliance. Under Richard's careful stewardship, their music has transcended time, touching hearts across generations. Beyond preserving their musical legacy, Richard began sharing previously unknown stories from their lives. In recent interviews, he acknowledged, "There's so much about Karen the public never knew. She wasn't just an angelic voice. She was a passionate person carrying enormous pain. From quiet daily moments to the pressures of performing under intense scrutiny, Richard offered candid glimpses into their special bond as both musical collaborators and emotional supports for one another." Perhaps most revelatory was Richard's confirmation of long-suspected family dynamics. "Karen endured immense pressure from our family, the music industry, and herself. I watched her gradually change, but none of us understood how serious her condition was. By the time we realized, it may have been too late." One of Richard's most poignant tributes was releasing Karen's solo album in 1996, a project she had completed in 1979 that remained unreleased during her lifetime. Each track reflected her personal struggles and artistic aspirations, revealing a more mature musical direction she never had the opportunity to fully explore. Richard acknowledged Karen never got to show her authentic self. She wanted to break free from her established image and explore new musical dimensions, but she was held back. If her solo album had been released during her lifetime, perhaps everything would have been different. Karen Carpenter's story remains an unresolved tragedy, yet the legacy she created endures in every note and melody that continues touching millions of hearts worldwide. From tender love songs to hauntingly beautiful ballads, her voice remains an irreplaceable treasure in musical history, a testament to extraordinary talent that shone brightly, but all too briefly,